Hey, welcome everybody. This is the inaugural Rams Up pregame pulse show. We'll be doing this the day of the game, a few hours before, the morning of. And this episode, obviously, we're going to be talking a little bit more about the Rams Lions game, the Sunday night opener in Detroit. It's going to be great. Now, we're also going to talk about some other NFL news on occasion, and I'm going to kick this episode off talking about that Thursday night game and the Friday night game. Thursday night, Ravens almost pull off the win in Kansas City. Man, how cool would it have been if that touchdown had counted? It was clear the Ravens were going to go for two. That would have been a great way to open the season. The Ravens going for two and the win on Thursday night in Kansas City. But we were deprived of that toe touching the line on the Isaiah Likely's would-be touchdown. Kind of a bummer, but still a great game. I wish these two teams could play every week. They are so much fun to watch. And I will say this about the Ravens. If this was a college game, a lot of pollsters would knock the Ravens down a few slots, a bunch of slots even. But, hey, you go on the road, you play a worthy opponent, in this case, the defending Super Bowl champions, and you almost pull off the win. I'm not dinging the Ravens. And, you could even make an argument, maybe they deserve the number one spot. Go on the road and compete like that. Not going to do that. Ravens were my number two team coming in, and they will likely remain my number two team depending on what happens with a couple of other games that might be going on right now as you're viewing this, or it could already be over. But what a great game. That was a lot of fun. Now, the Packers and the Eagles in Brazil, the Packers have to feel like they should have won that game. They have two takeaways in the Eagles and early in the game. Turned that into 6 points, had a total of -7 yards after those two turnovers. That is not a formula for beating a very good football team. And I thought they handled their extra points kind of oddly. They go up 12-7 in the second quarter. That's too early to be chasing 2 points, but that's what they did, and they missed. They failed, so they're up by 5. Later on, they go up 18-14 with another touchdown. They kick the extra point. Okay, not a problem with that. Then, even later, they go up 25-24, and they kick the extra point. Now, that's where they should have been chasing to, in my opinion, but kind of strange decision-making there by the Packer staff. And, you got to feel bad for the Packers, the Packer Nation. They fly 5,500 miles. They lose the game and then lose their quarterback. That must be really deflating. And we've all been there before, but this is as bad as it gets as far as being pretty depressed, probably, if you're a Packer fan right now. Okay, enough of that. Let's talk about this game. Rams Lions in Detroit, Sunday night opener. It's going to be electric. A rematch of that playoff game last year. Matthew Stafford looking for his revenge, and I think he's going to get it. What are my reasons for optimism here? Well, let's look at Sean McVay on opening day, specifically road openers. So while he's been here with Los Angeles coaching these Rams, they've started the season on the road 3 times. They have scored 33, 30, and 30 points over the Raiders, Panthers, and Seahawks. That's a 31-point average. All wins, of course, 3-0. And on their other 4 openers at home, not too shabby either, 3-1 record, averaging 27.5 points a game. Now, the one dud was that opener against the Bills. We all want to forget about that one. You throw that game out, and it's even more impressive. Now, what about their road openers that occurred in the second or third week of the season? Well, there was 4 of those. These are seasons where they opened up at home and then went on the road. They scored 41 points over the 49ers, 37 over the Eagles, 27 over the Colts, 20 over the Cardinals. That is, again, a 31-point average, not too shabby. And here's another stat to get you pumped up a little bit. Matthew Stafford, according to Pro Football Focus, the 4th best quarterback in the league off of play action. Last year, the Lions 27th defending play action passes as far as yards per play. So this is an area where the Rams have a clear advantage. Of course, sometimes that requires establishing the run game, and we'll hope that happens with Kyron Williams and Blake Corum doing some damage. So what are the areas of concern? Most of us are probably a little bit worried about the secondary. We lose Darion Kendrick, then we lose Trey Tomlinson. Now D. Will's out for 4 games. Kobe Durant looks good to go. Trey White has looked really good. And I guess what I'm trying to get to here is I'm not as concerned about the secondary as most. And why do I say that? I think Kobe Durant will be okay. Trey White should be very good. And our secondary, we got some studs back there, and a couple of those guys can play a little nickel, obviously, can play slot, they can play man-to-man if needed. I'm talking mainly about Quentin Lake and Russ Yeast. And then we have those 2 rookies that look so good in camp, Charles Woods and Josh Wallace. Hopefully we don't have to turn to them. Probably going to get some snaps in this game, though, for sure, right? And then I really have a good feeling about this other undrafted free agent, the safety, Jalen McCullough. He'll probably be a special teams beast, but another safety that can play real well. And then, the veterans, John Johnson and Cameron Curl. Curl has been lighting it up in camp from what I have heard. So I don't feel, obviously, a little bit concerned, but I'm trying to be optimistic. I think these guys are going to step up. I think Chris Shula is going to have some surprises and find some ways to get some pressure on Jared Goff, takes a little bit of pressure off the secondary. So we'll see how that unfolds game time. And the other thing we've got to be a little bit worried about, the Rams have activated A.J. Curry off the practice squad. Is that an indication that Rob Havenstein is trending towards not playing? Perhaps. So we may want to just assume it's going to be Warren McClendon with A.J. Curry as the backup. And if Havenstein can go, hey, that'd be great. But I think McClendon, he's rather have Big Rob. Don't let me, not going to be silly about this. Would love to have Big Rob Havenstein out there, but I think Warren McClendon, and he's going to probably get a little bit of help from Colby Parkinson. Parkinson is a great blocking tight end, so there's that. And on the other side, Joe Noteboom, hey, he's decent. He's I think really only a slight drop off from Alaric Jackson. I think Jackson is just more consistent. If Joseph Noteboom can just come out and play really well for 2 games, Mr. Noteboom, please, we'd really appreciate it. So what else? On the Lions side, DJ Reader, the big defensive lineman, he is still listed as questionable from what I saw, and he could be a game-time decision as well. That'd be a big loss for the Lions, and their safety group is a little banged up. They could be 2 men down there. They'll probably pull some people up from the practice squad to augment that group before game time. So that's what I have for you. Rams, Lions, feeling good about this. And we will come back after the game with a quick reaction video, hopefully talking about the Rams' first W of the 2024 season.